Hi, this is Alan Liska from Green Archer Comics, and today I want to talk a little bit about comics, tariffs, and de minimis. Actually, I don't want to talk about them. I want to talk about the latest Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, but I think I need to have this conversation with y'all because it's impacting small comics creators all around the world, and I just want to have everyone understand what's going on. So when President Trump started implementing seemingly random tariffs against other countries, largely the comics community was unaffected by this because they're paper goods and paper goods are generally exempt from any type of tariff, which has been good, right? And that hasn't changed as far as I know. However, with the new rules on ending de minimis, that has started to impact comic shipments from around the world. And that's what I want to talk about specifically. So, de minimis is a tax exemption passed by Congress that allows shipments bound to America that were valued under $800 to be exempt of US and duty-free taxes. And that's perfect for international comics creators to reach an American audience. I mean, not just comics creators, but that's what I care about because that's what I'm talking about. It's perfect because comics are cheap, right? And so you can send them overseas and not have to worry about whether or not there's going to be a weird extra tax and all these other things. And that's worked really well. And it's allowed an international comics community to really foster and grow. And it overall, it's been really good. It means that if you're in France and you're making a really cool comic and I want to buy it, I can. I don't pay an excessive amount of tax or anything on it when it comes over. And and it works both ways, right? People in France buy our comics. We've shipped our comics to France, to the UK, to Germany, to Sweden, to Ireland, to Scotland, to Australia, to New Zealand, to South Korea, to Japan. We've shipped them around the world, and there's an international audience for our very, very small comic book company, just as people in the US are an audience for these small comic book companies around the world. And I mean, it's a great thing. It's a success story for everybody. But now President Trump has seemingly ended de minimis, which I'm not even sure is legal since Congress is the one who passed it. I'm not sure how the president can override it, but I am also not a legal expert. So I can't really talk about that from a legal perspective. But I know that it's messing with the comics book industry because I've already had multiple small creators and small comic shops tell me they've had to pause my shipments and hopefully just pause. I've had a couple that have actually gone ahead and canceled it because they don't know when there's going to be a resolution. So, what happened on the 29th when President Trump declared de minimis ended is that a number of international carriers from around the world have paused shipments to the United States because they don't know what the cost is going to be. And just to understand, we are the ones who pay that cost. So if there's an additional cost because you've shipped things over to us, we have to pay that. So, for example, my family and I were on vacation in Italy earlier this year, and we found this. My wife loves backgammon, and we found this really cool backgammon set while we were there that was made in Italy. And so I thought it'd be a really nice gift to send to her. So we paid for it, we shipped it over. Then we got an additional bill for $100 on top of what we paid for it, and that was the tariff. Well, de minimis, there aren't supposed to be any tariffs on anything. But because of the new rules, now we don't really know what the additional cost is going to be to send things over. So right now there are more than 30 countries that have paused shipments to the US. That's Australia, Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Czechia, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Greece, India, Italy, Japan, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Malta, Moldova, Montenegro, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Serbia, Singapore, Slovenia, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Thailand, and Taiwan. All of these countries, and yes, Taiwan is a country. Screw you, China. Um, have stopped shipments to the US because of the uncertainty that's been created by the end of de minimis. And this is a problem, right? Because I want to support local comics creators around the world. I can still do that digitally, and I absolutely will. But there are some rare comics that I can only find overseas that I can't get shipped to me. Now, in the grand scheme of things, not the biggest deal in the world, right? A comic book shop in France isn't necessarily going to be hurt because of my business. But there are a lot of small comics creators, especially on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and other places, that rely on the US market to help support their comics. And that's gone. And that sucks. And I feel bad because it's going to hurt these creators around the world because of this uncertainty. Now, let's all hope that it's temporary, that all this gets sorted out. And even if that means we have to start paying more money to receive the comics, at least we can do that. But for now, yes, comics are impacted by the de minimis because the carriers aren't making an exception for paper goods. Comics are not being shipped, just like everything else is not being shipped. Books aren't being shipped, just like everything else is not being shipped. And so again, I've already been emailed by several creators saying, hey, I can't send you your comics, or at least I can't send them right now. So I do hope that we get this sorted out and that, shipping can start flowing again and the comics community, the international comics community, can start supporting each other again. But for now, if you do have a favorite creator that's overseas, let's see if there's a digital version of their comics that maybe you can buy and support them. So thank you all for listening. I promise the next video will go right back to the comics, but I think this is important enough that we want to talk about it. Oh, and if you're still listening, the character on the front of on the thumbnail is the Merry Mailman, which was an old radio TV show that turned into a TV show that turned into a comic book. And I will be doing a video about that because it's such a fascinating story. But that'll wait for another day. For now, please keep reading comics, and thank you as all for watching.